All right, I'm on hole number 2 of the 2019 Christmas tournament. I'm in the opening round of the Ricky division. Let's go to hole number 2. Check it out. Hole number 2. All right, this big par 5 right here. There is a serious chance for an Albie on this hole. Now, there are several ways you can play it. You can lay it up here. Power 3 ball, you're going to do some overpowering over here. Over here, you don't have to do any overpower. It's just a matter of getting your topspin right so that you're in a very consistent area over here. With this account, I'm going to bring out a power 5 ball, power 5, and I'm going to bring an extra mile. And I have an extra mile 9. Don't blame me. I didn't ask for an extra mile 9. Playdemic buffed all of our clubs and they gave it to us, and that's just the deal. So I'm going to try and get way up here into my short iron range and really give me a serious look at that Albie. I am going to do a wind adjustment up here depending on where I'm at So we'll have to play that kind of by ear. It looks like I'm doing like a 30 or a 40% wind adjustment. So I'm going to take an extra mile. I'm going to take my accurate clubs. And I'm going to take one of these new bobble balls. No, not the bobble balls. I'm going to take one of the new present balls. So basically, I don't need a lot of side spin here. And it's helping cut the wind down on the other end. But it's giving me that 5 power that I need to get out there to begin with. All right, let's see if we can get this done. My opponent goes first. Let's see if they're going to take the left or the right. I think if you're using a 3 power ball and you don't, the thing about this is that max overpower is not the consistent, I mean, it's hard to be consistent when you're doing max overpower. So if you're coming out here and you're going to this side, if you've got bigger balls, bring them, because the whole thing is you're going to the right to try and get more distance. And if you've got a bigger ball, you can bring it out right here. This is a great spot for it. Look at how much fairway is up in front. So you've got tons of fairway to work with here. Take out 2.1 per ring. I'm going to take the side wind out and put the forward moving wind back in. I'm going to do a max overpower shot with a little bit of curl. And 1 ring great to the left. Try and get that ball up there as far as I can possibly get it. 431 yards. And we're definitely uphill. So when you look at how much farther I got than my opponent, I didn't get that much farther, but it's the difference between long iron and short iron. Anytime you can come at one of these holes with a short iron, that is good. So first thing I got to do is find out where I'm at in my club. And my short iron hits 1.1 at max, 1.9 at mid, 2.2 at minimum. And then I need to add on 40% wind. And my wind's going to be very similar to my opponent. So 3.6 times 4 is 1.2, 1.4. So in that case right there, it'd be a 5 ring pool. Or excuse me, a 5 mile an hour wind. Hopefully I'll get the same wind. 3.6, so it is a 5 mile an hour wind. I am right at max club, so it's 1.1 per ring. So it's 1.1 per ring, so that's 5 miles per hour. It's 5.5. It's a full ring set, so it's a little less than 5 rings. Hitting it perfect. Give myself a look. Just a bit outside. That was a little teeny bit of an overpull. I think I did about 4 2/3 rings, and I should have been closer to the 4.5. And the deal is it's super hard to make those wind adjustments because you're so far away from your ring set that you can't get down in there. And so like the difference between 4.5 and 4 2/3, when you can get really close to your rings is super easy to determine. But here it's, you can do it all right. And just because of how far away you are from your ring set, it's just hard to get that adjustment absolutely spot on every time because you're just way up there. But I do think that the 40% from where I'm landing up there is about right. And that's going to change because if you're back where my opponent was, it's a little flatter. Luck in the tournament. And what I mean by that is that where my opponent was at here versus where I was at here, the terrain here where my opponent's at, it's almost like in a cup, and then it comes up a little bit, and the pin's over here. So where I was at here, I'm up on the hill, and where my opponent was at, they're a little bit down. So I've seen in some of the other streamers and people who post content that they're talking about a 30% on the second shot, and I'm using a 40. And the reason I'm using a 40 is because I'm farther up the hill up here than where they're at. So from wherever you're landing on a regular basis, these numbers may change. And you'll have to, what the deal was there is I think the 40% was right. I overpulled it by just a little bit of a ring, partially because I couldn't see them and partially because I did the rings wrong. It should have been 4.5 rings, and I did 4 2/3. So that little bit puts me off the cup on this side. A little bit of an overpull. Depending on where you're landing out here, if you're landing where my opponent was landing versus if you're landing back here behind them, that number is going to be different. So you're going to have to figure out where you're landing on a consistent basis, and then you're going to have to work a number for that spot. All right. That was hole number 2 of the 2019 Christmas tournament in the opening round of the Rookie Division. Thanks for watching.